Sahanavavatu Sahano bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamassu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
As we went through the previous chapter of Ashtavakra Gita, the 12th chapter, where Ashtavakra, the Guru, continues to guide the disciple Janaka and rechecks about whether he has been able to give up this whole idea of doing and not doing, achieving and not achieving, the idea of the birth and death and sukha and dukkha, and the idea of prapta, prapta. Also the idea that everything is only an illusion, like a magic show that goes on. And just as a magic show should be used only for the entertainment purpose, not be insistent upon having the permanent outcomes out of it. They're all temporary illusions. To that extent, you must engage in the world with the complete understanding and knowledge that all this is just a magic show, and enjoy the magic show, but don't become attached to it, because then you will meet with misery only. So he says, become free, become peaceful, realizing that what you watch in the world around you, Ashcharyam, he says, Ashcharya is the word he uses. It's a wonderment. And truly it is a wonderment. So many wonderful things are happening. And then I remembered this shloka from Ashtavakra Gita where he says, look at the whole world with wonderment. It's a wonderful magic show. Actually, it's a magic show. Every morning the sun rises, the evening the sun sets, and in between so many things happen. All these are magical. But treat it only as magic. The moment you get more engaged and involved, saying that I must have it, then you are going to be in trouble. So he says that Nirvasanam. First he says Ashcharyam in the previous shloka. And I thought I better repeat that once more because today I felt so connected to that shloka. In that shloka in which he says that the world is just a magic show. Nana Ashcharyam idam vishwam. Different kinds of magic shows. Two sunrises are not same, two sunsets are not the same. No 2 days are same, no 2 leaves are same, no 2 fingerprints are same. Imagine the variety and diversity. If not magic, then what else it is, he says. Because it's beyond us to comprehend. So it's magic. But still, nirvasana spurti matro na kinchit iva shamyati. Yet realize that this is just magic show and nothing more than that, and become desireless. Don't be desirous to have all these illusions of the magic permanently with you. You cannot, including this body. What a magical thing. Of all the beings, we walk on 2 legs, we speak, we sing, we think, we dress up, we create such poetry, music, so much of intelligence, so much of intuition. What amazing things we do. Also, we do terrible things with the same body, mind, and speech. What can we do? All kinds of things happen. So you are really like, I feel it's a huge circus going on. Have you been to circus in your childhood? I don't know, nowadays circuses are not there. But earlier, if you have a circus coming to your town, they'll have a huge tent-like thing, structure, temporarily. And you'll have so many things happening. There are jugglers, there are comedians, there are stunt people, there are trapeze people, there are people who deal with wild animals and the ringmasters and make them do so many tricks. And there are dancers, there is music, there is magic. The world feels like that under this huge dome of this blue sky, the great big tent. Here is the magic, the master of magic, God, who keeps everything under its control, from the wild animals to those humongous hulks who can lift any amount of weight, to those skinny, bony comedians, to the birds that are doing trapeze from morning till evening, swinging this way, that way, flying around, fluttering around, darting around, to humans who are performing dances, music, storytelling. It all looks like a huge magic show to me, a huge circus of the divine. But once the circus gets over, we all go back home. We don't insist that I love it, so I will stay back here. Children may insist. When parents tell, okay, the show is over, we must go. No, I want to watch the next show. I want to sit here. Then the parents tell them nicely, come, let's go. This is over. We have paid for only so much. We can only sit for so long. But if the child further insists, you know what happens in India. Then the child recollects its memory of the past such deeds and behaves, dumped into the car or vehicle and taken back. Nobody is allowed to stay back. Like that Yama comes at the end of the show. Let's go. You say, no, I want to stay a little longer. I want to enjoy the next show. If you listen to him nicely, he will take you quietly, nicely, graciously. If you don't behave, then some sickness will happen, some tragedy will happen, something will go wrong, because of which you will develop that virakti vairagya process. And finally, you give up this insistence on continuing in the magic show. So, some way or the other, you will have to finally quit this show. Nothing you can do about it. It is nothing permanent. So, Ashtavakra says, yes, watch everything with that wonderment of a child. How beautiful it is. Yet, at the end of it all, be acutely aware that this is not permanent. This is going to end. So, what's the point in getting emotionally or any intellectually invested in this show? It's not worth it. It's not worth putting so much of effort to enjoy the world or understand the world. Yes, for the entertainment purpose, watch it and come back. That's all it is. So that idea is so very profound. And Ashtavakra, the great guru, he's never done. He's always teaching and teaching and then checking again on Janaka. That is how he has built this scripture. Of course, I was telling the children, they had come in the morning, ask questions, and I was supposed to answer, whatever that. But we just were chatting, because when children come, there is no need to follow any script. It just flows for me. I was talking to them, and then there was this picture of 10-headed Ravana. They brought a card from the Dashara time. A 10-headed Ravana, and Rama is shooting. And in the front of the card, there is this 8 Ashtabhuja, the 8-armed goddess who is killing the Mahishasura. So this was the card that they made for Dashara. Then I asked them, do you think this Ravana really had 10 heads? One said yes. The other said may not be. Third said, yes, no, he cannot have 10 heads. How is it possible? Similarly asked, does the goddess really have those 8 or 10 hands that she is represented? Is it really that from her arms, from her shoulders, 8 or 10 arms are coming out? Is that how it happens? Then they started thinking, because they're all from 12 years, 11, 12, 13 years old. Then they said, yeah, she must be having. That is why she is goddess, because she has so many arms. We don't have that many arms. That's why she is special. Not to explain, no, it is symbol. It is a symbolic way of saying that one head is equal to so much ego. 10 heads is equal to, imagine the amount of ego and desire. Head represents ego, right? That's why you used to punish means you cut the head, because no head, no ego. Head is, that's why when we bow down to somebody, we put our head at their feet, because we are surrendering our ego. That is the idea. Head is the most important organ from the point of view of one's identity. So Ravana had such heavy ego, 10 heads worth ego, 10 times ego than a normal person. That's why he was a demon. And Durga, on the other hand, had 8 hands or 10 hands, as many places they show. It means she had 8 times more power than a normal human. That is why she is divine. So these are symbolic representations. These are not exact how it was. It doesn't happen like that. That is why the other day also I mentioned from Rigveda, Purusha Suktam She Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. That Supreme Being has thousands of heads, thousands of eyes, thousands of hands and feet. But truly there is no one single Supreme Being like that. It is a symbolic representation of the collectiveness of all creation. All hands are God's hands, all feet are God's feet, all faces, eyes are God's eyes and faces. Through all of us, God works. That is the idea. So I was explaining to them on this symbolic. So for children, if they watch a show, 10-headed Ravana, all this animation also is coming nowadays, nice ones, or 10-armed Durga. It's amazing, it fascinates them. But our rishis knew this is only symbolic. Likewise, this world is just symbolic. We take it at the face value and believe it is all real. But it is not true. It is not true. That is what Ashtavakra goes on reminding Janaka. You have been a king, you have done many things, good, bad, ugly as a king. Ugly means sometimes you have to fight a war, conquer another territory for the sake of expanding your kingdom, In the process, many people die in the war, which is a part of your Raja Dharma, it is fine. But then lot of things you have done. And lot of things you have thought, good, bad, ugly thoughts have come to your head and gone. Some you have spoken out also, good, bad, and ugly things in your life. And translated into actions also, good, bad, and ugly. So this is how we have lived so far in Agyana, in this wrong understanding that the world is real. Once you know the world is not real, then why would you run behind that which is unreal? Why would you run behind those currency notes that the magician is producing from his hat? Because those are not real notes. You know it, then you don't run behind it. If you don't know it, then you run behind it. That is the idea. So previous chapter kind of very strongly reconfirms that all this idea of doing and enjoying and gaining and losing and achieving and not achieving, all this is just illusion on the surface only. Deep down, you are that one changeless supreme consciousness which has no vikara, no modification whatsoever. So who is happy when things go right? Not your consciousness. Consciousness is steady. Mind becomes happy. Who is sad when things go wrong? Conscious does not undergo any sadness. It's the mind that experiences that sadness. Any changes cannot be attributed to the consciousness. Simple as that. It is ever same, changeless. Any changes that you experience, that is because of your mind and its interaction with the sense objects. That's all it is. So that clarity is what we learnt again, relearnt again in the previous chapter. Now what should be Janaka's reaction when the Guru is checking? Have you really learnt it? And then Janaka starts. So beautiful. In the chapter 12, he will reconfirm all that Ashtavakra is telling him. And we'll start the chapter 12, which is named Beyond the Body, Name and Form. We know the concept. This is just a good revision again. As Janaka, with his joy of having learned the truth, continues to speak now. Earlier Ashtavakra spoke, now Janaka replies. Janaka uvacha kaya kritya saha purvam tato vag vistara saha atha chinta asahas tasmat eva meva aham stitaha. I'll break it down because a lot of sandhis are there. Janaka says, kaya kritya. Kaya krit, all that I have done with the body. Asahaha, intolerable things I have done with this body so far. In the ignorance that world is real, I had been running behind things and done good, bad, ugly things using this body. Kaya krit, asahaha, he says, unbearable, intolerable, not nice, horrible, terrible things also I have done. It is unbearable for me now to imagine I did all these things, this body, all this while in my ignorance. Purvam, earlier, not now. Now he is learnt. But the very thought that he had done all these things is terrible. Tato, and what else he says? Then Vagavistarasaha. Vagavistar means continuous speaking. Vak means speech, Vistara means always speaking. Those people who continuously go on saying something or the other. Asahaha, unbearable things I have done with my tongue. With my body I have done terrible things or intolerable things. With my tongue also I have done terrible things. I have said lies, I have told harsh things, I have insulted people. And maybe sometimes I was not nice, not pleasant. So many wrong things and all kinds of things I have done with my tongue. Or sometimes simply been talking unnecessarily without a head and tail. So many terrible things I have done so far. Then he says, Atha Chinta asahas tasmat. And chinta, here chinta does not mean the worry of the previous chapter. That is a part of it. But chinta means thinking. Thinking. I have thought of so many terrible things, good, bad, ugly things all this while. My mind was ever engaged in some thought or the other. They say in one day a man thinks 60,000 different thoughts. We don't even realize that this much goes through this mind every single day. And repeated thoughts, you can imagine even more. But every single thought. So he says that after having done with my body and my speech, even with my mind, I've thought so many things which are all unbearable for me now. The very thought of it, very memory of it, that all this was done using this body, speech and mind is unbearable now. But therefore, having realized this, I have evam evaham stitaha. He says that now, having realized that, I have become established. I have become steady. I have understood the truth. So I am no more like my previous self. See, life is evolution. Life is evolution. Every day we grow and evolve, not just physically, not just mentally by learning new things, but by spiritually also. That is the idea. We have to grow, we have to grow. Growth is life. That growth happens to us on the spiritual path. Many people say, sitting here, oh, I'm such a sinner. I did horrible things. I don't deserve all this. I tell them, why do you go on living in the past? Yes, you have done because you were ignorant then. See, in ignorance, you do something, it's pardoned because you have learnt a lesson from that. On purpose, if you do that, that's not pardonable. But chalo, you did ignorantly or you did on purpose. Forget all that now. Learn the truth and be free from that also. Our Taittiriya Upanishad says that the one who realizes the self never meets with regrets in life. Kim sadhuna karvam, kim aham papam akarvam iti. Why did I not do good things? Why did I do wrong things? These regrets do not happen to a person who has realized the truth. But till you realize the truth, you have done things. Who can say I have not done a thing like that which is not right? So everybody has done. Either in speech, like we have three things, right? Manasa, Vacha, Karma. Through body, through speech, or through mind. We have done things, horrible things also, good things also, nice things also. All of those things, now I am free from. Because I realized that was all done when I thought of myself as something other than the supreme consciousness, the self. Then I did things. What can I do about it now? Can I erase it off? Can I wipe it away? Can I wish it away? No, it's there. Let it be. What can I do about it? But now that I have learned from you that my true nature is self, and all that which happened earlier was out of ignorance, avidya, I have established myself in this steady state where now I am not fluctuating, and now whatever is happening through my mind, through my speech, or through my body, it's all divinely inspired. I have become just an instrument of the divine. I am no more, it is my ego that drives my thought, words, or actions. That is the idea that Janaka is explaining. Now, to purify our thoughts, till we reach this state, we have to still put efforts on the spiritual path. And those efforts are given in Bhagavad Gita. So I pulled it out, it's not mentioned here. But when I taught Ashtavakra Gita, I had not read the whole of Bhagavad Gita. So when I reading it now, there are so many references that come out. As you know, in spiritual path, this idea of seeking God is called tapas. Tapana means burning. And tapas means that burning desire to realize the divine. For which sake you will do anything. Like Dattatreya says in Tripura Rahasya, you should search for God like a man searches for water whose hair has caught fire. What other choice does he have? That time you tell him, let's have a little coffee. He says, nothing doing, get me some water. Because the only thing on his mind all the time is how to douse off the fire on my head. Nothing matters to such a person. Do we have that tapana, that tapas? Only then we are capable of realizing the divine. As somebody went to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and asked, you talk to God, you experience God. I also want to do. But why is it that I am not able to do this? And I believe Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa takes him to the well in the Panchavati and throws him into the water, like dunks his head into the water. And he is struggling for breath. And then Ramakrishna pulls him out and says, if you crave for God, like just now you were craving for the next breath, then you will also talk to God and God will talk to you. But how many of us really, really want God that badly? We don't want God that badly. We want God only on difficult times, right? When things are very bad, that time we want God very badly. We are able to do anything. But when things are fine and okay, who really struggles or strives or craves and yearns and pines for God like one wants life breath, one wants to put off the fire on the head? How many? That is why you don't see God. He says very simple. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So this tapana, some effort has to be put to understand God and realize God. So in Bhagavad Gita, in the Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, which is the 17th chapter, the 3 shlokas come about what kind of tapas you should perform using your body, your speech, and your mind. We think body tapas means go to Himalayas, stand on one leg, starve yourself, live in cold caves, eat nothing, live on water and air. That is body's tapas. But Bhagavad Gita does not say that at all. Or you think, what is mind's tapas? Continuously chant mantra, continuously contemplate, continuously chant different types of scriptures. That is how you do tapas with your mind. Bhagavad Gita says not necessary. Then with the speech, we think tapas of the speech is shut up. That is the best tapas to begin with. But even you speak the name of God, sing bhajans, talk about godly things, chant God's name. That's how we will think about the tapas of the tongue. Well, Bhagavad Gita is a very practical scripture, as I said. It is the guidebook. It is the manual for life. So it tells you exactly how to use this gadget called the body and the mind and the senses, the hardware, software, everything put together. So Krishna very nicely in Bhagavad Gita chapter 17 says, the 14th shloka of the chapter 17 says, Daiva Dvija Guru Pragnya Pujanam Shaucham Arjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa Cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. What is the tapas of the body? What austerities should we perform using the body? He says, Deva, God, Dvija, wise ones, Brahmins or those who are learned, then Guru, the teacher, and Pragnya, wise people. These are the people you should worship using your body. It means you should serve them. Serve God, serve Guru, serve the wise ones, serve the noble, knowledgeable ones, serve your teacher. That is how you should put your body to right kind of tapas or austerity. Then what else you should do? Shaucham Arjavam. Shaucham means keeping it clean and pure. Clean, not just physically clean, having bath, but also clean from all other vikaras. For example, sickness, disease, because without body we are not able to move forward, like a vehicle. So eat right, yukta ahara vihara, yuk karma cheshta, and all that. Sapna, avabodha, all these things, moderation you bring, that will bring shaucha, that will bring sense of cleanliness or purity. Arjavam, simplicity. Live simply, it says. Too much of pampering the body will complicate it. Today, so many people are suffering. I believe the next big pandemic is lifestyle diseases, which is born out of ultra-processed foods or drinking, smoking, and all kinds of other lifestyle issues, sedentary lifestyle. That is the next big, huge problem that the world is going to face. Because we have forgotten to live simply. We have complicated our lives so much. The kind of food we eat, the clothes we wear, where we go, where we meet, what kind of people we meet. We have complicated it so much that now it's difficult to uncomplicate it. We've forgotten how to live simply. So he says Arjavam, simplicity in your body and its behavior. Brahmacharyam ahimsa cha. Brahmacharya, your body should always be in the process of realizing the self. Brahmacharya means in one way you think it is student life. Brahmacharya ashrama is student's dharma. But brahmacharya can be practiced all through the life. How? By your mind totally invested in God and body behaving accordingly. So in a very flat and gross way, we can say it is continence or abstinence, brahmacharya, because your body can be used for certain pleasures also. But you restrain yourself from that because that's not the path that will take you to God. It will get you engaged more and more with your senses and it will draw you more and more into it. Yesterday somebody said, when we fulfill a desire, the desire is gone. But the next desire comes. So my feeling is if we keep fulfilling the desire, desires keep disappearing. It's like chasing shadows one after the other. When you fulfill one desire, yes, temporarily you are relieved from the torment that you're going through by not fulfilling it. But the moment you fulfill it, your ability to overcome the next desire has already weakened. And like that, you keep weakening your strength of mind every time you fulfill a desire. Finally, you can't deal with any of the desires that further trouble you. So, restrain or control is the only way. But it takes time. Initially, it is a bitter fruit in the beginning, but tastes good later. That is how spirituality is, bitter medicine. But then you should practice brahmacharya and ahimsa. Should not harm anyone with your body. Especially you see Jain monks are there. They are so particular. Ahimsa paramo dharma for them. They'll wear even a mask all the time. We were not even wearing during COVID. Even if we were forced, police were beating people. Even then people were not wearing masks. But Jain sadhus, they wear the mask all the time. Why? Because I think by mistake also we should not breathe in and kill an insect or a small anukita. Nobody. Nobody we should harm. And when they are walking also, they carry one fan-like thing, a broom-like thing. And they keep gently cleaning their path and then they walk. So much of austerity. Because they want to practice perfect ahimsa. We don't even realize how many things we do. That's why brahmacharis and sannyasis were not allowed to light kitchen fire or cook food, because in the process of cooking you do kill, even if it's a bacteria or a germ, it gets killed. So many things happen in the process of running a family. You end up harming somebody or something because you're living in a house, you're doing things. That's why brahmacharis were told don't engage in that, because you must practice ahimsa to the purest way. And sannyasis are also not allowed. They could beg and eat, of course, but on their own, they're not supposed to do anything. So that kind of austerity is what is known as Sharira Tapa. What you should do using your body. As now Janaka says, I have done terrible things using this body, but I was ignorant, unfortunately, I did all that. So you don't have to be ignorant. Follow Bhagavad Gita's chapter, what it says, what is the way you can use your body correctly. Daiva Dvigja Guru Pragnya Pujanam, worshipping or serving the holy ones. Then Shaucham, keeping the body healthy and pure. Arjavam, living simply. Then Brahmacharyam, abstinence. Ahimsa, non-violence. Cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. This is how body should be put to use. If you do anything other than this for the body, you are actually misusing the body. That is what it is saying. Now somebody will say, how can a grihastha be brahmachari? Idea is that grihastha has dharma. As Krishna says, kama which is under the precincts of dharma is permitted. Adharmic kama is not permitted. So you think of God and do your duty as a grihastha, even then it is okay. Without getting entangled, engaged or desirous of things. You do it because it's a part of the process. You raise children, that's a part of your duty. But then you are not attached to any of these things. That is the idea. It is very difficult, you see. Once you become engaged in things, how can you remain detached? Very difficult. It is that what you call Sunday or Monday story, which comes first. First you become a jnani, then you enter the world, or enter the world and then become jnani later. What is the way? I feel both happen simultaneously. As you grow and mature in your life, you will become a better jnani and lesser worldly, but it's a process. In the process, you would have done some terrible things. That is a part of the process. But as long as you realize and make good for it, paschatapa is there, it is still fine. And purva tapa is there, it's even better. Before getting into that only, you know it's dangerous and you avoid, that is even better. That's why brahmacharya ashrama, you are taught all the scriptures. Our schools are not even teaching, our school means not our school, like schools in general, not even having a moral class. Forget about spiritual classes. Who will teach all these things to children before they enter the grihastha ashrama, before they enter the world? They don't even know how to deal with the world. Nobody is training them. Parents don't teach them. Teachers in the school are not allowed to teach them whatever in the name of rules and regulations and the commercialization of education. Who is there to teach children about these good things before they enter the real world? Nobody. That is why all this mess is happening, because they are drivers who have never learned driving but got the car. And they are killing everybody on the road. Because they just don't know how to handle the vehicle. Nobody taught them. Likewise, they don't know how to handle life. That is why in our schools we have made it compulsory to read Paravidya, scriptural study, right from your age 12. In fact, even in primary they learn. But I don't know how much they remember. Once they came, they impressed me with Bhagavad Gita, with one chapter they chanted. I was stunned. Even while playing and swinging in the jula and in their school playground, they were chanting Bhagavad Gita shlokas and playing. And somebody sent the video. I was in the ninth heaven, cloud 9 they say. I was like, wow, these children are so this is where Brahma Gyan is happening. Some months passed, I called one of them. I'm so impressed with your Bhagavad Gita, you memorized. Tell me, he's forgotten everything. Because he's only 6 years old, I don't expect him to remember and recollect and explain. But I decided to check. Then I realized that knowledge is only temporary. Of course, some impressions will remain, which will help later. But that's why we kept our school starting from 12 years, because then they understand some things. So you're learning Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad. Why? Because with this knowledge, if you enter the world, Yasman no dvijite loko, lokan no dvijite chaya. You will not be of harm to anyone and nobody can harm you also in the process. So all these, if you don't learn before you enter the grihastha life of any kind, when you grow up, how do you lead a good life is the question. And then you will come to Janaka kind of regrets. Kim sadhuna karvam. Why did I not do good things? What's the point? So that is why Sharira Tapa. Similarly, the next shloka of Bhagavad Gita says, what is the tapa of the tongue? What is the spiritual practices that we should do using the tongue? The shloka says, Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmaya tapa uchyate. Anudvega karam vakyam. Your speech should be how? Anudvega. It should not create restlessness in the listener or within you. Both should not have that restlessness when you speak. It should be calm and peaceful speech, which creates peace, not disturbance. That kind of speech you must have. Because sometimes when you speak, you are disturbed and the listeners are also disturbed. But both should not be disturbed. Anudvega should not create emotions and restlessness in the people who are listening and speaking. Anudvega karam vakyam. Then satyam. It should be truth. If it's not truth, better not speak. Why speak gossips and rumors and all these kinds of untruths? Satyam. Then priyam. It should be sweet, pleasant, dear, endearing speech. Hitam. It should be done in the best interest of the other person and in your best interest also. Hitam. These are the qualities. Then swadhyaya. Use your speech to do your self-study. In our scriptures, we are supposed to loudly recite them. That is how we engage all our senses into it. When we recite loudly, what happens? Our tongue gets engaged, our ears get engaged, our eyes which are reading the scripture get engaged. There are hand movements also that they teach, as per the intonations. Udit, whatever, Anudita, Swarita, Udatta, Anudatta, all that. So that they teach because your body also gets engaged in chanting. In every possible way, you want to fully engage yourself. That's why they used to tell even children when we were small, we were told to chant tables, multiplication tables. We used to chant like parrots. Even today, if you go to a lot of these small primary schools and all, they'll be shouting on top of their voice. 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, 2, and they're asked to shout and tell loudly so that they're totally engaged. Otherwise, their mind will go elsewhere. So we were told, Swadhyaya you should do self-study, but using tongue how? By chanting and learning. In those days, the knowledge was not printed. It was from Guru to the Shishya. So Guru had to chant and the Shishya had to repeat, and that is how they learned from each other. So that is why also it's mentioned, use it for Swadhyaya, self-study, Abhyasanam for practice of all that you have learned. These are the things which you do with your tongue. What are the things? Let's repeat. Anudvega karam vakya. When you speak, there's a poem called words. Some words heal while some words hurt. Some cause sorrow, some cause mirth. Some cause husband and wife to part. Some brings hope to a broken heart. So whenever you open your mouth in haste, think well each word, speak well in taste. That's my primary school poem. Till date it remembers with me. I remember that words are so important because we have been given words to speak, not everybody. So what kind of words? Which bring peace, happiness, joy. And they are truth. Again our scriptures say Satyam bruyat, Priyam bruyat, Na bruyat Satyam apriyam, Priyam cha nanratam bruyat, Esha dharma sanatanaha. Which means tell truth. Priyam bruyat, tell sweet things, pleasantly. Na bruyat Satyam apriyam, don't speak unpleasant truths. Which means don't speak truth in an unpleasant way. Speak in a pleasant way. Like children don't do very well. When teachers scold them, you are useless, this, that. Instead of that, you tell, I thought you were much better than this. I thought you could do better than this. Then the child thinks, oh really? The teacher thinks I can do better than this. That's a positive. Whereas you say you are useless, I always knew you could do nothing. Then it's negative. So feedback. And also the sloka says in that, Priyam cha nanratam bruyat. Yes, I am telling you to speak pleasant things, but does not mean you speak lies just to please somebody. That also is not allowed. That deep is our understanding of how truth should be spoken. Spoken in a pleasant way, at the same time, pleasant untruths cannot be spoken. You have to tell the truth only, but in a pleasant way. So the idea is that Satyam bruyat, Priyam bruyat, na bruyat Satyam. So he says Satyam, one word, Satyam itself is a whole lifelong tapas it is. To speak truth in every circumstance, make sure it doesn't hurt anybody. Make sure it is for the welfare of all. How many conditions just to speak truth? So that, and then he says Swadhyaya and Abhyasanam Chaiva. For your own study and practice, use your tongue. Why gossip and carry rumors? Use your tongue better. That is how you should do. Then you say, what about not using the tongue at all? Many people do this Mauna Vrata, right? They torture all the people around them. They will say for everything. Nobody understands what's going on. And then they'll write cheats in horrible handwriting. Nobody can read. I've seen people, how they torture people. Why is this hitam? Is it good for others? No. What is this idea that no, I have taken the Maunavrata, I will never open my mouth? But if you are alone in a forest, Maunavrata is perfect because anyway there is nobody to speak to. But in a you are a teacher in a class, you are a doctor in the hospital, or a servant or a worker in the ashram, and you decide I'll have Maunavrata and still I'll be busy doing things. How is it possible? You will be making so many people's life difficult. How is it spiritual? Speak sparingly, I say. Don't speak unnecessarily. That's all we are saying. Where it is necessary, speak. Where there is not necessary, then don't speak. That's it. Because speech takes away a lot of energy. I speak so many hours every day. You might think, oh, I am not running around lifting construction material, going up and down. But still, speech takes a lot of energy. And thoughts take even more energy than speech. 8 hours of work is equal to 1 hour of speech. 8 hours of speech is equal to 1 hour of thinking. That much energy thinking consumes. So if you want to grow spiritually and you want to preserve all your energy, stop thinking unnecessary. Stop speaking unnecessary and stop doing unnecessary things. These are the basics. So here he is saying, never he said, shut up, don't speak at all, do maunam with your tongue. He says speak, but speak correctly, speak truthfully, speak for the joy of all, speak for welfare of all. Speak sparingly and use your speech to practice your own scriptures and learning. No harm. That is tapas. So what about maunam? The next shloka says, Maunam is not the quality of tongue. Maunam is the quality of mind, it says. What does it say? Mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atman vinigraha bhava samshuddhi iti etat tapo manasa muchyate. It says mana prasadaha. Your mind should be of happy demeanor. Happy, mana prasadaha. Your mind should be happy. A sad mind is not a tapas. Not a good mind for spiritual growth. An angry mind is not a good mind for spiritual growth. A desirous mind is not a good mind. A disturbed mind is not a good mind. Peaceful, happy mind you should cultivate. That is how you start your tapas on the mental dimension. And saumyatvam, sweetness, gentleness in your thoughts. Cruel thoughts should not come to us. Violent thoughts should not come to us. Externally we may desist from harming or not even speak a word when we are angry. But inside, if you are all boiling and angry and frustrated in our mind, that's not going to help either ways. So it says, saumyatvam, sweetness and gentleness should be there in your thoughts. Maunam, here he says, practice maunam, practice quiet or silence. Where the silence is not at the tongue level. Bhagavad Gita says silence is at the mind level. Because tongue is simply an instrument that does what mind tells it to do. What is the fault of tongue? People cut off their tongues. I have seen some of these crazy sadhus. They cut off their body parts, thinking that that's how they can control their desire for world. Not necessary, Krishna says. Why punish the body? What has body done? Poor thing. There's no desire of its own. Mind is the culprit. So tapas of mind you do, which is to practice silence of mind. That is why we say meditation you should do. Sit quietly for a few minutes every day. Sit with yourself without any thoughts. And if thoughts come also, don't engage with those thoughts. Don't try to start analyzing those thoughts. Become aware, oh, thoughts are coming. Like clouds are coming in the sky. Become aware of it. And they will pass, passing clouds. Don't get engaged with those thoughts. Don't cling on to them. That's what I tell. Avoiding thoughts, is it possible? Completely not possible, because we are working in the society. We have a body. We have things to do. We have to think. But not clinging on to those thoughts is what is important. It comes and goes. What is necessary, you do and leave it at that. Two sannyasis were, Buddha bhikshus, Buddha monks were crossing a river. And one of them saw that there is another woman which was trying to cross the river, which was quite flooded. She was pregnant, she was carrying. So the other senior monk told the junior monk, you are young, please lift the woman and take her across to the other side. He said, oh, we are not supposed to touch women. We are not supposed to, all that rule book sannyasis are there. No, we cannot. He says, just do what I'm saying. Because it was the senior monk, he had to obey. So he carried the woman and left it on the other side. And then things happened. And no, he did not carry. So the senior monk carried the woman saying, yes, you are telling me all the rules. Don't worry. Don't have to do. I will carry. So he carried the woman and took to the other side and placed her on the other bank. And then they started walking. This young man is still not recovered from that shock. My Guruji or whatever, the senior monk, not supposed to look at women, not supposed to touch women, and he's carried a woman all the way across. How is he a real monk and this and that? Doubts were killing. Then the older monk understood this young man's dilemma. He said, "See, I have dropped the woman long ago. You are still carrying her." Because he dropped her physically and mentally also. Whereas this young monk is carrying that woman mentally. Oh, still carry. So he told, I have dropped that woman long ago. You are the one who is carrying this woman even now. So that is tapas. To be able to silence your mind and not carry thoughts from one day to the next and to one life to another. That is the idea. How do you do? Use the thoughts as instrument. We need to think, do something, finish and be done with it. Close the accounts. Don't carry forward anything. That is the idea. So Maunam is at that level, at the level of mind, and Atma Vinigraha, self-control. Again you will say self-control is a body. No, self-control is from mind. Body is a car, driver is the mind. Who controls the car? The driver. Likewise, control is an aspect of the mind. Mind should be under your control. Atma Vinigraha means you should be having self-control, means control over your thoughts. Thoughts and emotions, which are lead to your words and actions. Words and actions are consequential to thoughts and emotions. Therefore, mind level you must practice control, and bhava samshuddhi, pure feelings you should have. Purify your thoughts. You're getting angry thoughts, purify that angry thought with compassion. Purify a greedy thought with a charitable thought. Purify a selfish thought with a selfless thought. The antidote for that. So replace thoughts. I told, getting rid of thoughts is very difficult. But replacing thoughts is easy. Replace a lower thought with a higher thought, a worse thought with a better thought. That is very practical. Selfish thought with a selfless thought. That you try. And you will not get it on day one, but you keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. And it will slowly change. Now you're getting a thought, I must do this naughty thing. But then something inside you tells you that this is not the nice thing. But your mind is not willing to listen. It wants to go and jump into it. Then you have to slowly train the mind. No, let us do, you want to be happy, let us do something higher than this. A higher quality thought. Like that, slowly you improve the quality of your thinking. Bhava samshuddhi. Purify your thinking process. And thoughts happen in the company of people. So right company will lead to right thoughts. Bad company will lead to bad thoughts. Bad company is not just bad humans around, bad books. What bad you watch, hear, smell, taste, touch, everything. All that will constitute your thoughts. And thoughts will turn into words, and words will turn into actions, and actions will create reactions. The cycle continues. So at mental level, if you want to purify yourself, you must practice some of these basic austerities. One, observe the thoughts, then quality of thoughts, then discard poor quality, bad quality thoughts, and replace them with good quality, high quality thoughts, till a day comes when your mind is thoughtless. It's just divine inspiration that guides your mind. You have nothing of your own there. That time will come only after purification, not before that. So this is a process. Why I brought these shlokas back into our memories, because Janaka says, with this body I have done horrible things. I can't bear the thought of I have done all these things. With this tongue I have spoken horrible things. Today the very memory of it is intolerable. It is unbearable for me. And with this mind I have thought of terrible things, all kinds of things, not just terrible, good things also bad. But I have continuously thought in an ignorant way. With ajnana I have thought. But today, after meeting my Guru Ashtavakra, I have realized what is right, what is wrong. And therefore, I am not anymore engaged with the body, the speech or the mind as I was doing earlier. Now I am steady. I have understood how to be, despite the body, the mind and the thoughts. So this is very important, because some people will say, Janaka had already realized why we are going on talking about the same concept, because we haven't learned. We need several revisions, several reminders. That is why this. If you want to really understand much of it, master the mind that was spoken, that 30 days is very good. Actually, it was not planned. Can you believe that? During the COVID, when people said, what should we do because everybody is locked down, I did not know what to do. The only thought that occurred to me is that people will be locked up in their homes, they'll be scared, they'll not know what is going to happen, uncertainty, fear. Let us keep their minds positive. Let us do that. And that time the ability through internet to reach out to people. So simply we started talking. Every evening I said, those who are there in the ashram, please gather. We will simply talk about good things. And the Master of the Mind series happened. Nobody designed it. And it would just start and end in 1 hour. And after 1 hour, not one single word will come to my mind. Doing anything more than that is like, constipating yourself. Nothing is coming out. There was one teacher who used to say, people have constipation of thoughts and diarrhea of words. He used to say, the thoughtless words they speak, unnecessary. There's no. So I used to get stuck. It will be like you put on a radio, it starts the program, and you program gets over, you put off the radio like that. That divine took over, and every single lecture just started flowing, and people would say that was very perfect, that was good, and that was going in a nice sequence. The difficulty level or whatever, the complexity was slowly increasing, and it became a 4-week course by itself. None of this was done by. Nobody can claim that we did it. What was to be done, it was done. This is the idea of an inspired mind doesn't think. An inspired mind flows. Through the mind, things flow. Mind just becomes a channel. As Francis of Assisi says, make me a channel of your peace. I don't want to be more than that. Use me as a channel, a good, clean, pure, worthy channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow your love. Where there is injury, so pardon, Lord. Where there is doubts, so faith in thee. And he says, O Master, grant that I may never seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. I am not here to take anything from anybody. I don't want anybody to console me, love me, or give me, or take. If at all something can happen through this body, mind, and speech, let it be your will that flows through me, and let me be of use to my people around. That's all he prayed. What a beautiful prayer. That body, mind, and speech, they should be channels of the divine. They should not be used for one's own promotion or propagation or one's own desires. They are instruments offered to God as instruments, and when God decides, see, in a painter's box, there are many, many brushes are there of different shapes and sizes. Some are flat ones, some are round ones, some are small, some are big. When the painter is painting a piece of art, he picks up whichever brush it wants and uses it, and when he doesn't use it, he puts it down and takes the next one and uses it. Now, the brushes which are not being used, they start fighting. I should also be used. I should also get the credit of being a part of the painting. Please use me also. How is it possible? Because every brush is made differently for different reasons, and painter knows best which one to use and which one to make wait. So that's why they say, they also serve who simply stand and wait. That is the idea, that you are just an instrument. When God needs you, He'll pick you up and use you and put you down. And when He puts you down, He's not insulting you, discarding you, or disowning you. No, it is His way of doing things. When He picks you up, it does not mean you are something superior to somebody else and you are greater devotee and you are a greater sadhaka. Don't imagine all this. It's just that at that point in time, for His work, He needs your abilities. How He has created you, He's going to use you. And if He does not use you, He puts you back into the box. It does not mean that He has hated you, He has discarded you, disowned you, is no more kind to you. No. Instead of looking at others, this comparison is not good at all. I told in spiritual path, never compare, never compare. Everybody has a unique path, and God has charted it, designed it, customized it for their own benefit. Don't compare. Why not me? Why not me? So this is the idea. You become an instrument, a channel, a conduit of the divine will, then you have no ego. How can you even claim that it is your ego? When Tigrit was saying, let us charge every lecture, your lectures are quite interesting, $1 per lecture for downloading or listening. You will have millions and millions of dollars. I said, Tigrit, if it was my property, I could have charged. If this knowledge was my asset, my possession, I could have charged. This knowledge is not mine. It's coming out of my mouth for sure. But it is not mine. How? It is like selling somebody else's property to somebody. When you are inspired, the divine flows, there is no ego, no attachment. You can achieve greatest of the things and still you will be very humble. That is why humility is the hallmark of greatness, they say. Why? Because they know that they are not the doers. So they cannot enjoy. In our scriptures, Bhagavad Gita says, Stena eva saha, they are thieves who take away the credit of God, who steal the credit of God by saying, I did it. They are thieves. Tair dattan apradayebhyo yo bhunkte tena eva saha. The one which is given by God, we enjoy it without even offering our gratitude to God. We are thieves, Bhagavad Gita says. And thieves, when we take credit for all that we have achieved in life, we are thieves only. Why? I am intelligent, I achieved it, I am talented, I am so smart. But where is all this smartness, intelligence, talent come to you from? From the divine only, right? There is only one source to everything. Without that divine, how could you have achieved anything in life? You are breathing because of the divine. Are you consciously putting efforts to breathe? Is your heart beating as per your will? Is your body behaving as per your design? No. All is under a great divine design. That realization makes a person humble. And the more knowledgeable one is, the more humble they become. The more foolish people are, unwise they are, more ignorant they are, the more egoistic. That's why demons were very egoistic. Even when good sense was being spoken to them by the gods, they wouldn't listen. They will continue to fight with gods. And finally, of course, they get killed because that's wrong. They shouldn't have done that. But even if you tell them nice things, they don't listen because ignorance is so much of ego. And ego doesn't listen to anybody. That is the idea, that become channels of the divine. So Janaka, what he's saying, that now I realize the self, so I realize how free I am, how amazing everything is. But I wonder, oh my goodness, I did all these things using my body, speech and mind all this while when I was not aware of this truth that Ashtavakra has taught him. Similarly will be our situation. It shouldn't happen to us like this. That what I could have avoided this, I shouldn't have done this. Those regrets should not happen in life. A regret is the worst pain in the end of one's life. All other pains are bearable. Body pain, neck pain, back pain, or even pain of cancer and some other degenerative diseases are still bearable because they have a cure in some way, maybe a painkiller or two. But this pain of regret and remorse cannot be remedied, unremediable. There is no medicine for that because it's gone. And I see how many people I meet towards the end of their lives, so regretful they are. And even if I tell, fine, I forget about it, it's over, it's done and dusted. Now whatever remaining time is there, you focus on the right thing, positive. But they cannot. They cannot because the past haunts them. So if you do not want to end up in a regretful end, let your body, mind and speech be used as an instrument of the divine without your ego or doership. That's when you can have a very happy, peaceful end. And the quality of your end is an indicator of the quality of your life. How people die is a clear indication of how they have lived. Barring exceptions of avatars and all. You say Krishna got shot in his foot, Rama went into the river. Don't compare, they are different. That's a different category. Not a normal average person. Their death is the indicator of their life, how they have lived. Many people die, you see, and we have chakras, energy or prana leaves through any of these chakras at the end. Some people pass tools or motions at the end of their life because their prana has left them from lower chakras. They never evolved in life. Some people spit out some secretions because their prana has left them from the Vishuddhi. Some people live with their eyes rolled up because the prana has left them from the Agneya. And some people, absolutely peace. No, nothing. They're still, as if they're still alive. When you look at them, you feel they're alive. That beauty, that serenity, that calm and composure, even in death. The prana has left them from Brahmarandra. Sometimes we even see a drop of blood or something on the top of your head in the crown chakra. See all these vatus are putting one choti, on top of that. That is to cover their crown chakra. That is a tradition because that's the most sensitive spot. So for a person who is engaged in knowledge, they want to preserve all the knowledge, they somehow cover that. That is why we put this vibhuti or we cover our center of the head, crown chakra. And these are methods which have a significance. But what I am saying is that at the end of your life, you really know what kind of life you have lived if you have died with no remorse. So the idea is that you cannot die in peace unless you have lived in peace and you have spread peace to everybody. That is why body, mind and tongue, these three things that God has given us to conduct ourselves, we have to use it very, very carefully. And in the company of the right people, by constantly practicing and contemplating on greater ideas of the truths of the scriptures, this is possible. Otherwise, it is not possible. I'll take one more shloka, which is on page number 124, 12.2. What else happened to Janaka? One, that he realized that all that he said, did and thought were unnecessary. Unfortunately, I did that because of ignorance, but now he is established in peace after realizing the truth. Then he says, the next shloka, Pritya abhavena shabdadehe adrishyattvena chatmanaha vikshe paikagraha dayaha evameva ahamastitaha. Which means Pritya bhavena, no more desire or attachment or liking to what? Shabda adihi. Shabda means one sense of speech. Like the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. 5 kinds of organs we have. Shabda is tongue, Sparsha is skin, the touch. Then Rasa, tongue also has the property of taste. Then Rupa, form, which is eyes, and Gandha, which is nose, the smell. These all 5 of the senses: sound, taste, smell, touch, and sight. All of these, I have no more attachment to them. I have no more attachment. I want to see nice things. I want to taste nice things. I want to hear nice things. I want to go and touch nice things. No more those desires bind me. Janaka says, Priti abhavena shabdadihi. Because of lack of interest, lack of desire, lack of attachment, affinity for shabda means sound, etc. means all the other 4 also included. For all the senses, I have no more desires. Adrishyattvena chatmanaha. Adrishyatva means the transcendence. It's not invisibility, it's the transcendence of these senses. I have achieved atmanaha. That is my true self. My self is beyond the 5 senses. That's where my true nature is. It is not bound by these senses. So I have finally reached that stage of transcendence. Vikshepai ekagraha ekagra hridayaha. Hridaya ekagrate means concentration I have developed. No more vikshepa. Vikshepa means fluctuations, distortions. They are also gone. And I have attained absolute focus and concentration. It means my mind does not fluctuate anymore with new desires or other ideas. Evam evaham astita. In this way, I am now established. I have gone beyond the craving of the senses and the sense objects. My mind also has learnt to stay steady without any distortions, fluctuations. And finally, having transcended the lower things, I am established in my real self, which is pure, unchanging consciousness. That is how Janaka is expressing his present state to his Guru. That yes, I was like that, what you mentioned just now, running behind, I want to achieve this, I want to avoid this. I have not achieved this, I want to somehow achieve that. I want to avoid sorrow, attain happiness. I want to have long life and avoid death. All these ideas, which in the previous chapter Ashtavakra says, give up all these ideas. He says, I am now finally, I know I was like that. You are not wrong in reminding me. You are right in reminding me that we have to give up all these things. But fortunately, by your grace and by whatever has happened in the last few chapters of listening to that Jnani Ashtavakra, I have achieved a state, I have retained my purity and calmness and steadiness by overcoming and transcending all the other things. In Kathopanishad also, the shloka says, what is the state of that self, unchanging, supreme self? He says, Yada panchavitishthante jnanani manasa saha buddhischa na vicheshtate tad tam ahu paramangatihi. It says, when all the 5 are steady. Which 5? Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Taste, smell, touch, hear and see. All these 5 senses are absolutely in peace. They are not running behind something or the other. Yada pancha avatishtanti. Every 5 is, all the 5 are calm. Then jnanani manasasaha, your intelligence and mind, everything has become, your jnanani means for the wise one, manasasaha, mind also becomes absolutely steady. See, body is steady because it's not running behind senses. Mind is steady and buddhischara vicheshtate, he says, even your thinking, this analyzing, discriminating, none of these exist. This is right, this is wrong, this is good, that is bad, this is punya, that is papa, this is spiritual, that is worldly. These kind of thoughts also don't occur to you. Everything is okay. Buddhischara vicheshtate tam ahu, that is what has been spoken of as ultimate state, gati. So your mind and senses and the body all are absolutely steady. They are not fluctuating, they are not getting disturbed. You are absolutely in that state of self. That is the real state, and that is what Janaka is saying. I have lost attachment and desires for the 5 senses. I have developed absolute focus and concentration of mind. There is no fluctuation in that. And now I am established in this ultimate state, which you have always been encouraging me to be in. So this is how Janaka is expressing his joy of learning to Ashtavakra. How beautiful if some guru's life is fulfilled if he finds one worthy disciple. That's it. Guru's job is done. That is the joy of a guru too. If Janaka says, I am joyful now, Ashtavakra also is joyful. Because he also is experiencing joy. Oh, this disciple has learnt finally. So that is the beauty of these scriptures. See, all our scriptures are designed Guru Shishya conversations. Because we as Shishyas are able to relate to that conversation. Yes, I also did things with my body, mind and speech. Yes, Janaka also did. But Janaka finally established himself in supreme steady state of existence. I also should be able to do that. Or this kind of encouragement comes. And most of our scriptures are question and answers, FAQs what they call today. But that design thinking happened in those days itself. Shankaracharya is one step ahead. He not only an idea and then he questions it both ways, in the positive and the negative way. So that tomorrow if there are skeptics and atheists who question his wisdom, he has got answers for them also in his Bhashya. He's very clever. Shankaracharya's Bhashyams are very, very interesting. Because he'll take the thought, he'll explain the thought from a theistic point of view, who believes in it. And then the objection to it also he will answer. So that tomorrow in future, if somebody is reading and they don't have a worthy guru to explain, and the Shishya asks some of these counter questions, the guru should not be dumbfounded. How do I deal with this man? Shankaracharya wrote those Bhashyams also. Imagine his compassion. This is what he says. Smriti, Shruti, Purananam Alayam, Tava Karunalayam, it says for Shankaracharya. You are the abode of Shruti, Smriti. Shruti is Vedas, Smriti is the other texts which have come later. Itihasas, everything. And Puranas, all the stories of our mythology, everything, you are the embodiment of that, you know all of it. But how you are also the embodiment of Karuna, compassion, because you saw to that in the future, if somebody asks a question, there should be an answer to it. You preempted it, you kind of predicted it, and you gave answers to that. That far you went to teach us the great scriptures of Adi Shankara. He says, Shankaram Loka Shankaram. You are Loka Shankara, means you are the one who done good to the world. Shankara. Sham means good. Kara, the one who does. Shankaram, Loka Shankaram, it says. Namami Bhagavad Padam, Shankaram, Loka Shankaram. O Bhagavad Pada, who is coming from the lineage or the Guru Shishya of Bhagavad Pada. Govinda Bhagavad Pada, Gauda Bhagavad Pada, Shankara Bhagavad Pada, like that they call themselves. So you are coming from that lineage of Bhagavad Padas, but you are Shankara, which is his name. Loka Shankara, you have done good to the world. Why, if he had not left these scriptures and explained it so correctly, we would be guessing most of it and misinterpretations would have happened. And misinterpretation are more dangerous than not knowing the scripture at all. Knowing it wrong is even more dangerous. But Shankaracharya, you have taken care of all these things. So that is how today if I read Ashtavakra Gita also, I should feel the same way. That I am so happy that Ashtavakra took care, that first he gave all the wisdom, then he got Janaka to speak about the wisdom, then he again went back to remind and correct and check whether Janaka got it right, whether he has got 1, 2, 3, 4, all these 10 points right. Then Janaka replies, yes, I have got all these 10 point rights. And he also tells how I got it right. Like that, it is helping us as learners to compare notes here. How the Janaka felt, am I feeling? What did Ashtavakra check on Janaka for? If I check on myself, am I qualifying? And if I'm not, then what is the method? That method also is given in the book. So wonderful. That is why these books, scriptures, Veda Mata it is called. Gayatri is called Mata. Mothers are only capable of such compassion. They'll do anything for their children. The Vedas have been thought of as mother. Mahatma Gandhi would call Bhagavad Gita as Gita Mata, Mother Gita. And Gayatri has been thought of as a mother goddess. Veda could have also been a male god, right? Anyway, there is no real god. It is just an idea that if I have to personify the Vedic knowledge, would I think of it as a male or a female knowledge? Or, how do I see the masculinity or femininity? It says not just masculinity, it says motherhood in that. Because mothers are capable of nourishing, providing, protecting their offsprings. In all species, you see, mothers are the one who really take care of the species. Men or gents or whatever, the male species walk away. It is the female species that protects, teaches them how to hunt, grows them. And when the time is right, also abandons them, saying, now you are on your own. You can't be dependent on me. See, that also is compassion only, right? To let go. Even animals do that. Humans also do that. And this knowledge itself is thought of as a motherly entity. See, in India, women taking to spiritual path is very difficult for them because society does not allow them. It restricts This access also to mostly men. Men, a boy gets up and says, I'll be a sannyasi, I'm giving up the home and hearth, I'm shaving off my head, wearing ochre and walking away. Yes, they will lament, cry, curse their fate, but at the end, the man has his way. Can a woman do in a society like ours? Is she safe at all? Can she just walk away like Akka Mahadevi without clothes in her body, saying that I need nothing from you, including these clothes? Saint Francis of Assisi walks away, it is an understanding, we understand. After all, he's a man and he can go out. But Akka Mahadevi walks away with nothing on her body from her marriage mandapam, saying, this is not my life, I'm married to Channa Mallikarjuna, Shiva is my lord. Walks away, a princess. One exception, two exceptions will get, not regular ones. But what they have done, they have created a sanctuary, a safe heaven for women to also practice spirituality, where they are provided with everything, not just protection or safety and security, but respect, dignity, and opportunity, which otherwise is not there in most of the institutions. Even I went to Assisi, I saw there is a women's order also there. Even Ramakrishna Mission has a women's order. There also there are nuns and people who live. They are called, like Assisi, Francisco was the main person, which was a male. He had a sister called Chiara they call it in Italian. So under her, the order of women also started. They are called sisters of Franciscan order. I met some of them also. They live a very chaste, very pure life and simplicity. But there are very few such organizations. And an organization like this provides you everything. More than anything, I said, the dignity and that opportunity to follow the spiritual path. You don't have to suffer like Mirabais and Akka Mahadevis. You can walk this path with dignity, with a normal life like everybody can. And you are safe. So that's also a great idea that I wanted to say, because not many scriptures are there where there is a women seeker questioning the Guru. Maybe they are there. Only few we see somewhere Lopamudra talks to Agastya, but then it's shown that Agastya is teaching Lopamudra. Or when you think of Yajnavalkya teaching Gargi, Yajnavalkya is lecturing Gargi. So most of the times we see this male to female lecturing. Even if there are some scriptures like that. Very few are there where we see the other way around. Of course, otherwise they'll put on the pedestal, you are the ultimate Tripura, you are the mother goddess. That is the other level they'll take it. But at a human level, we see very few scriptures where a female and male are conversing. And there are, of course, like Shankaracharya himself was challenged by Mandar Mishra's wife, Ubhay Bharati. She was a scholar. So there are rare mentions, but it's not a regular thing. Somehow it has been like that for so long, for whatever reason, but this is an organization which gives opportunities. So also is our organization, which provides opportunities for all the girls.